Hi, everybody. This is Cathy Homeyer, and I am here with Stacey Nye. Hi, Stacey.
Hi there, how's it going?
Good. I haven't talked to Stacey for such a long time, so we just had a little chat. Stacey is now currently, as this is being recorded, in Australia, right? Or
I
is it?
am.
Yeah.
I'm in my Bondi Beach home. Yep.
Yeah, very cool. And I just heard the story of how she's back there and really doing some cool things. So we're going to talk about that. I'm actually putting together my programs again. And I want to say relaunching, I guess, but like I was telling Stacey, kind of, coming around to the fact that I do have a physical place. I do have different processes that I do. And why I wanted to talk to Stacey again is that you look at energy or, wellness or, disease or whatever it is in the body or, however you're looking at it, from whatever direction you're coming from, I think everybody understands that, yes, somehow out there, your emotional state or your emotional um, triggers have something to do with your health. And I think everybody tries to kind of explain that in a way and has different processes to do that. But I came certified with Stacey in the F.I.X code because I thought hers was really, really awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit, Stacey?
Sure. So the F.I.X code is it's a modality that focuses on negative feelings, fears. We call them parasitic programs because they actually cause harm. They actually cause problems. So if we look at it from that physical perspective, parasitic programs are in our physical body. Okay. What they do when they are triggered, when something triggers a parasitic program, it wakes up in the physical body and it taxes the physical body and it starts to pull electrical impulses from those spots. So it's your knee or your hip or, your shoulder, your throat, your back of your eyes, whatever it is. That's where the parasitic program is actually lodged. So with the F.I.X code, we know that. Now, once it's now physical and the thing is woken, what it does is that it moves memory, your memories, whatever it's attached to, it moves that memory up, the memories up. And then we go into what we call the grand illusion. Okay. Which now we're in the mind. So if we not only now our shoulder hurts, let's say, but now we're thinking about all the things that, let's say that feeling was burdened. Okay. And you're like, we know from a lot of different books and studying and fun observations that shoulder could be burden. Shoulder could be you're carrying the weight of the world, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's play with that. So we now have somebody asking you to do 9 things. Now you're carrying the weight of that burden around. You've got to do all those things. It's triggered. It wakes up. It's in your shoulder. So now your shoulder starts to hurt. It moves up all the memories into the grand illusion. And now you're going, and then I got to do that, and then I got to do that. And if he asks me one more thing, and then, and it goes and goes and goes. Okay. That's the science behind what we do. We see it, we know what happened, it wakes up, and up it goes, and we're into the grand illusion, and we can't stop it. We cannot go in there and shut it down. It is so hard. So now the person spends hours potentially unconscious because they're in this fight, they're in this battle, or they're in like the sunkenness of sadness or whatever it is. But their stories that are attached to that feeling are now all running. Sometimes it comes out the mouth. Okay, we start to tell our stories over on repeat. Okay, so I could go on forever about this. Like we have an entire course about this. When you learn how to do this, we explain all of what's going on. But if we look at it just from the physical, the moment we identify what the feeling is with the magic question, which I can share with you, which is biggest problem you have in your life right now, when you think about it, don't tell me what it is, but when you think about it, how does it make you feel? If you could put it in 1 or 2 words, what would it be? Whatever that is. So we're going to pretend that it's burdened. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we're going to do the F.I.X code, which takes a couple minutes, feels like a quantum guided meditation. It's quite relaxing, actually. Once the process is complete, not only do you not feel burdened, but your shoulder starts to feel better because that thing called burden, which we identify as a parasitic program causing all the problems, okay, is no longer there. And inside the process, inside this guided meditation, this quantum guided meditation, you actually see this thing come out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you feel it, like if you're kinesthetic, you feel it. If you're a seer, you see it. If you're a, audio, it's like each person processes the guided meditation in their own individual way. And sometimes you will notice, if you have a client long enough and they share things with you, because it's truly none of the practitioner's business, so the client kind of goes through their own process every time. It could be different every single time. Like the client goes through an experience that's different every single time. Partially because you've got something coming out of their shoulder, and then the next extraction, it's in your hips, and then it's over here, like wherever these things are lodged is what is causing the disharmony in the physical body and in the frequency field. So it could also even be like something, again, we are bigger than us, right? Like we don't fit all in here. Okay. So we have this big space around it. People call it auras. There's all sorts of different ways that people call that energy field. So you could have potentially a parasitic program, something that bothers you or whatever it is, that's sitting outside in that field, that's poking at you or bumps you or throws you, or, okay, again, I'm putting it out there as it's very possible. So as you are extracting through this process we call the F.I.X code, it can also come out of there too, because that is also you too. So it truly does come out of all phases of your life. Phases physically, phases emotionally, phases spiritually. And because I've been doing this forever, it feels like like 13 years I've been doing this, I know, because I've had the longevity with people, their physical bodies change immediately. The pain disappears immediately, because when we get what's causing the problem, which is usually a feeling or a fear, and we do the quantum guided meditation, it's gone. So that thing stops pulling the electricity, your power from your physical body.
And we're just finding, it's really cool, because I've been, there's all this stuff now about we've known electric and electricity and blah, 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 but we're figuring out how our electricity or our life force is being stolen or depleted, and we're figuring out how to get it back. So,
and how to get it back is by extracting the things that are pulling your power and using your electricity, because these parasitic programs, what they eat or feed on, okay, is the movement of the memory. It's the friction. Okay. Yeah. So that's all it wants. It doesn't care about the content. Okay. It's not like this thing has a consciousness. It does not. It wants to eat the friction, the electricity. Once it's up in the grand illusion, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. Okay. It's done feeding. So what happens is that it shuts it down, brings it down, and moves it back up, so it gets to feed again. Okay. That's where we feel like, okay, I dealt with this morning. I don't want to feel this way again. And then something happens, and in the afternoon, there it is. Okay. And that is the electricity that everybody's talking about. These things, it's a true statement. Of course, we're electrical. We're highly electrical. Okay. But these things eat the movement of the memory that go up into the grand illusion. So it's triggered. It eats the movement of the memory as it moves up into the grand illusion, and then it's fed. And then it does it again and again. And at the end of the day, we're exhausted. Okay. So that's how it works. And we're exhausted because these things are taking our energy. Literally, our electricity. They're eating our electricity, our power. So we're depleted. We are run down, like all of those things. But I love it when someone comes to me and says, I've got a sore shoulder. And I'm like, cool. And they're like, what? I'm like, all right, let's fix it. And I just say to them, when you think about your shoulder, okay, biggest problem you have in your life right now, when you think about it, don't tell me what it is, but when you think about it, how does it make you feel? If you could put it in 1 or 2 words, and they'll give me a code that's very much around that shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And especially practitioners are so fun because you guys have got, you guys have read all the books. So you know all this stuff. You know where things sit. So it's like finding the right word that's exact, that's going to tell me exactly what that is, and it's fun because as practitioners, the more practitioner I work with, we have fun, because you guys bring stuff to the table that's super cool. And when I give you such a simple answer, and we do such a really effortless and graceful technique, meditation, and you feel it gone, you're like, no way. And I'm like, I know, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite naive about all of it because it just works every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know?
And what I love about it, what I always say is that a lot of the energy work that people do, or things that even I do,
Yeah.
you kind of tap into other people's energy field. And a
Oh,
lot of people who are kind of doing that don't mind, hey, yeah, I want you to find out what's going on. But with the F.I.X code, you don't need to do that. You don't do that. You don't tap
oh,
into someone else's energy field. They don't
no.
even have to tell you what is going on or what their code is. Well, maybe the code,
The code word.
but but that's really about it. You don't need to know the story. People don't have to feel funny about telling you the story or what's going on with them. And that's why I've done it with people who they don't want to do energy work, but they'll go, okay, well, we'll do that because I don't really, you don't have to tap in. It's all, nobody's doing anything to me or whatever. I'm just you're guiding words that I'm doing it.
Correct.
So that is the
And this is what I love about this. It's like, it's non-invasive
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like, when we do the technique, as you do it with your clients, it's non-invasive. As a practitioner, we need to know nothing, which is why
Mm-hmm.
we literally say in the magic question, don't tell me what it is. I don't want to know, because we could be here for 4 hours if you start telling me stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the stories are not the problem. And this is where, and I do know that there are other modalities that are taking the leap in this, because it's like, what she's saying is true. The problem isn't the content. The problem is how you feel about the content.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. So when
Right.
I say, think about it, whatever you're thinking about, don't tell me, but whatever you're thinking about, how does that make you feel? Okay. That's not the root cause. That's just today's issue. Okay. That's it. But it's never the root cause. The root cause we find inside the technique. We go back to the event that is the root cause, which
Right.
is mind blowing, because most people
Oh
don't know
yeah.
where it is. They think they know where it is, but they don't.
Nope.
And which is what I love, because this
Mm-hmm.
is very much like a quantum guided meditation. There is a lot going on in what Daniel has created in this technique, like beyond a lot. And yet he's created something that is so beautifully simple and graceful
Mm-hmm.
and effortless
Mm-hmm.
for the practitioner and the client. It is, the client kind of walks away going, huh, that was non-eventful,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel fabulous. Like, nothing
Yeah.
really happened. She didn't touch me. She didn't ask me any weird questions. She wasn't invasive. I didn't have to stand on my head. I didn't have to do a drum thing. I didn't have to, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
there's no ceremony to this. This is just truly, hey, I got a
Yeah.
question. What was the answer? We do the work. And
Mm-hmm.
it does just feel like a quantum guided meditation. There's a
Yeah.
lot to it. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
and the magic, if I were to say that there's magic inside this technique or with this technique, it's that the person that is doing the work is in harmony with self. And then from there, you make an energetic connection that we call rapport. Okay. So if you don't have harmony in self and you're doing the work, your client can tell there's something wrong. Like, this is like the frequency is a little static. Okay. But when the practitioner is in harmony, working with someone that they care about, the rapport starts. And that right there is magic on earth. When you're in rapport with somebody and the two of you are in harmony in self, that is that space when two or more are gathered.
Mm-hmm.
Third
Right.
mind shows.
Yeah.
Until you have that magical space, it's a pretty flat thing. Most things are flat when you don't have that. But the moment you have that synergy of energy, and that's what I love about the F.I.X code, because that's literally the frequency we work in. That's our workspace. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, we got to have that, which is pure. There's no trickery. There's no, I'm going to do it for you. No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show up. You're going to show up. I'm going to guide you through this. You're going to do the work. I don't need to know what's going on in there. None of my business.
Yeah. Yeah, and very self-empowering because the practitioner isn't doing it, just guiding it. You're doing the work. And I think if anyone, really knows that, healing is, inside yourself, which I have to just say, I don't know if you heard of the book, The Inside F.I.X, that launches on, as we're taping this, it's July 3rd, is launching July 8th. So The Inside F.I.X, I have my little t-shirt on, and it's a compilation book of a lot of different people, but it is about the inside, how to heal from the inside. And really what it's all about is it's all about you. It's not about the healer. And it's about you and just finding a person that can guide you through, find a technique like the F.I.X code that you might be comfortable with, a person who does the F.I.X code that you might be comfortable with. Some people might go, hey, I want to work with Stacey. And some people might go, oh, well, I'll call Cathy. So it's whoever you're comfortable with working with.
Yeah.
And Stacey has a bunch of them.
Yeah. But also too, like I can adapt, and I because of the role that I play in the company, I work with everybody, like everybody that comes into the system, I eventually do some work with, but they may not be my forever client. They, which is great because that's not my jam. My jam is welcoming everybody to the platform to learn this. I mean, I do have a summer fun course starting next week, which is the summer cleanse, spiritual summer cleanse. It's going to be awesome. I just actually went through this work myself. So just did it, like I'm the result of the work that I just did over the last 3 months. And I'm so excited to share it. So if you want to know more about that, just ask Cathy.
Yeah. Well, we'll link it all up here to this one. Yeah.
But also too, like if you're interested in working with Cathy, please do that. Like click the button and do some work, because the programs that you have created, Cathy, I love, which if I can just like expand this just for a minute, everybody that learns the F.I.X code goes away and builds whatever they want from it, in that they stay true to the technique, of course, and they stay true to what they've learned and how they've learned it. But what they've built from that is awesome. Like I build live events. I build 10-week events or 8-week events or whatever I do. I love that. Where Cathy, I love what you've done, and we've known each other now quite a few years, and I've watched you build other modalities into, correct me if I'm wrong, is it a 7-tier or seven?
A 9. Yeah, it's 9 layers. Yeah, and it tends to get complicated. So I go, wait a minute. But within the fourth, there is the F.I.X code, where you can't really go up here, or you can't go, from here up, and you can't go from here down unless you have that layer taken care of.
Right. So you have a whole system, which is brilliant and brings all of your talents together. And one of the reasons I'm on this show is because I'm like level 4, because inside your package, like you said, unless you clear the emotional blocks, you can't go up or down. And ascension is all about like Christ consciousness coming in and coming back up. Like it is coming through, and then the ascension process, and if we've got blockages through those systems, or these parasitic programs kicking the snot out of us, it doesn't matter how much heart work you do or how much it doesn't matter. You have to clear the emotional stuff, because the emotional stuff is stopping you from fabulous digestion, being able to run, being able to see properly, being able to hear, having good health. Like emotional issues, emotional stuff is the cause of all the other crap.
And you can't, we're talking about, everybody talks about ascension or whatever you want to call all that stuff, but we're going to do it in a physical body. I mean, we're going to be here. So we need the stuff under, from the earth and, down below, and the cosmic stuff. And that little barrier right there is where people need to work too, in order to all do our jobs. And the other sentence that I like that you do, as I was writing notes, because I remember, is that you always say, well, are you making pictures of the future going wrong?
That's a fear.
So you think about, people make, this might happen, well, but it might not. So are you making pictures of the future going wrong? And you don't know that those pictures are going to happen. They're just being brought out.
Yeah. And so when, let's say a fear is triggered. Okay. So let's say a fear of water, or fear of drowning. That's a bigger one. Okay. So all of a sudden this fear of drowning is triggered. and it wakes up just like it does with a feeling. It wakes up and it taxes the physical body. And now we can feel fear. We can feel afraid. We're getting nervous. We're getting anxious. All those buzzwords, okay? But what's really happened is the parasitic program, the fear of drowning, woke up. It's taxing me physically. Now my heart's going, okay, getting anxious. I'm sweating. I'm talking fast, whatever's going on, okay? The fear moves up, eats the electricity, okay? Moves up. The friction goes into the grand illusion. Now you're making pictures of the future going wrong. And this is one of the most profound questions I find. Most people, like everybody that I've ever asked, looks at me like, for the first time when they hear it, they're like, yeah, how did you know? It's like, 10,000 people in, you know. So, but nobody's ever asked them that. And it's exactly what you're doing. You're making pictures of the future going wrong. So how we do it is when you see those pictures and the person's like, okay, like drown, I don't like this. I don't like where you're taking me. That's right. You don't like it, do you? That's okay. When you see those pictures and you're pushing the fear into their face, they're like, ugh, and they spit it out. Fear of drowning. I'm like, okay, great. Close your eyes. And there we go. We do the guided meditation and the fear of drowning completely disappears. Not like for a little bit, forever, because it's the thing. It's a parasitic program that caused the problem, not you, not the person. It's not their fault. So it really, like Daniel, honestly, he's thought of it all. And it's a very profound question. Nobody's ever heard that question asked. So your listeners, if they have a fear running them, and I've just said to them, so you're making pictures of the future going wrong. Unfortunately, your patrons or your people watching this are going, yes, I am, and I don't like this feeling. Okay. Call Cathy. She knows how to get rid of it. Yeah, so I really get excited about this technique because it helps everything. Like, I know that you are into nutrition and just like that fundamental base of goodness. If someone has let's say the parasitic program called bitter, okay, they feel bitter. You would never think that was linked to the gut. But having a gut that is bitter or a program running that's bitter is going to change everything, chemically balanced, but like all of it is going to be off because everything, we're always trying to move to the alkalinity, like the balance. Where if you have a client that is running bitter, the program, doesn't matter how well they eat, everything turns to bitter. And then they get bitter that it's not working. And then they get mad at you. It's like, where with the F.I.X code, we just ask them, how about we fix your gut? Like if someone's coming to you that's got, and I know you do this all the time, but someone that you're doing nutrition on, you're going to go after all of those gut programs out of the chute to get their gut running properly. You know what I mean? Like that's the fun thing about the F.I.X code. You can use it anywhere. Like we've had people, some of your friends, amazing people, the German, I'm going to say this all wrong.
Yeah, it's Germanic healing knowledge. Now it used to be German medicine, but Germanic healing knowledge. Yeah.
Which again, like phenomenal work. And when I was on one of these with you and you had some other friends on, they were talking about like this like wave that you go through. And then the woman was like, oh my gosh, so we could just put the F.I.X code right here. I'm like, yes, like it's and that's what like that. Yeah. Like, so we can put the F.I.X code into your program effortlessly, and it just, whatever your clients are coming to you, you can help them with. Same with everybody that's a practitioner and with other modalities. You just stick the F.I.X code in right when you need the home run, like get the ball in the net kind of thing, and then you continue back to doing what you're doing. It is it can be used anywhere, anytime, with anybody. Like.
And I'm glad you mentioned nutrition, because a lot of people think I might be a nutritionist or whatever. I prepare food nutrient dense, but my nutritional interest is multidimensional. So, I'm not going to tell people, what to, like, I'm not one of those that, says what to eat or what to eat, what diet to be on. Right. I look at something like the F.I.X code. I look at the the multidimensional nutrition that you're getting in all different levels. I do look at body nutrition through bioacoustics, which is absolutely fantastic. And I have, part of my health to credit that. But I used when I was a couple of years ago, when I was going through a really rough patch, because I like all these people have their stories, right? All practitioners seem to have the stories. I'm like, well, I don't have a story. Well, I might have wished it on me. I don't know. But now I have a story, and I was not doing well. I'm like, wait a minute. I know my body knows what it's doing. I just have to stay out of fear. I have to keep my physical body nourished with what it needs for the cells to reconnect. But I also have to take away the programs, and I have to just, keep balanced and know that what I need to get rid of things that don't belong there, and I need to put in things, whether it's multidimensional or 3D or whatever, in there, and my body will know what to do.
Absolutely.
So,
That's the thing. Like, when you start to trust your intuition again, which, like, let's say from my world, when I see betrayal or people feel betrayed, they stop trusting their intuition. They stop trusting themselves. They second guess everything. So now it's like, well, do I have a steak? But now I'm told, like, that I'm not supposed to have a steak, or they're messing with our food, but yet my body wants a steak. What do I do? Now you're like, I'll have a cracker. Like, it's like, wait a minute, your body was screaming for that protein or whatever it is, so, but if you're not trusting yourself, so from my angle, it would be like, hey, Kath, do the feeling betrayed, and let's see what happens. They might really be able to connect more with their intuition of what their body needs. You know what I mean? So it's like that. Like, that's kind of how, like, we not sneak, but like use the F.I.X code in those moments to kick the ball in the net. Like, let's get rid of the problem so that you can step in and really help them to the next step. That's the thing with, like, life coaches. It's like, if you've got a client that's let's say fear of failure, no matter what you tell them to do, they're not going to do it. You can, like, cheerlead them and do like thousands of hours with them. But if they have a fear of failure or a fear of succeeding, which is like work, they're not going to do what you tell them to go and do. They're going to keep sabotaging. So with the F.I.X code, you're like, hey, sweetie, you think of anything in your past that when you think about it makes you afraid of succeeding, and your client's like, yes, I can't breathe. Okay, stop talking, and you're like, okay, great, let's get rid of this. And now you can coach them into success because they're not afraid of it. So that's what I love about this, is like, and you've proven it, that the F.I.X code has a home in everybody's practices. Like, you can pull it out of your back pocket when you need to kick the ball in the net. Like you're bringing in the ringer kind of thing. Like, all the other stuff, we don't pamper, we don't, like, hold hands, we don't listen to stories, we don't do any of that. We kick the ball in the net. That's what we do every time. Quickly, effortlessly, and it works every time. So that's what I love. It's like, I'm feeling, as we mature into this, and as we kind of, get more adaptable into the world of, of all of this, I'm seeing its spot in history, like, or in the future. I can see that it's going to be used in so many really cool moments of people's lives. And I love that, because I'll never be able to predict any of it. It's just going to be like,
yeah. And to know when you have, and if you learn the F.I.X code yourself, you can either use it on yourself or your family as well. But you triggered one of my pet peeves, going, people are told what to eat, how to eat it, what's good, what's bad. And we have to, this word has gone, viral now, but we have to reimagine food. We have to reimagine the way that we look at things in order to, get healthy again, in a lot of different ways. But
yeah, because I have to say, like, as all this was kind of going on, I never had food issues. I was like, I never thought anything about any of it. I ate very simply. I'm very boring. I eat like an athlete. I'm very boring. I don't need a lot of flavor, just substance so I can keep moving. Never put much thought into my food at all, but it was always good food. And then all the kind of stuff started happening, and people, like, I was hearing all this stuff. I'm like, I don't want to know it. Like, I don't, like, I'm like, the stories are causing fear, and I'm now getting issues. And then I realized about a year ago, it's like, I don't know what to eat. This is crazy. I'm standing here going, I don't know what to trust, what not to trust. This is crazy. So I actually unpacked, like, by using the F.I.X code, because that's the only modality I have, is I unpacked it and realized it was all fear. I have to go back to asking, like, my body, listening to if my body wants an apple for dinner, it wants an apple for dinner, like, or it wants an apple now, like, just have the apple. And then So I've gone back to trusting, and I love that you don't boss people around, because I do feel like in the food industry, in the food
Mm-hmm.
world, because I do believe everybody's body will tell them exactly what they need,
Yeah.
because every single person is totally different.
Well, and speaking of German new medicine too, in that modality, not really modality, but anyway,
Yeah.
in that when your body is healing, you need different things at different times. So going through a diet doesn't make sense if you're, especially if you're going through, doing the work and
Yeah.
whatever, because you need different things at different times, and it might
Agreed.
be a lot of protein now, or it might be breaking down cells or gaining cells, and you need what does that process to get you through.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that. And thank you for being that, like that sense of knowing that each person knows it. But from where I'm standing, if they feel betrayed, or if
Mm-hmm.
there's a fear running them, they're not going to trust their body. Their bodies
Yeah.
are going to know what to do, and then they're going to not do it, and then their body's going to show them that they didn't do it. It's like a vicious circle
Yeah,
where
it is. That is a
when we
circle.
like plunk in the F.I.X code to kick the ball, like what are you afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make it up, but it was like the fear that my food's been messed with or whatever, like in the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, I'm just going to eat berries from my front lawn, and it's like, that's not going to work for very long.
Mm-hmm.
So that fear that my food was being messed with was messing with me.
Yeah.
And I was now
Yeah.
not getting what I needed. And I'm eating other things that my body didn't want, but I knew were safe, whatever. And it was messing with me. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that I was spending a lot of time really worrying about food every
Mm-hmm.
single day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
now the 3D matrix has got me. This stops right now. This is a fear. Let's figure it out. And I did. And I took a couple of days, and the moment, like, it was all gone, like, over the couple of days, I had 2 or 3 different codes. And one of them was like feeling bossed around. I was feeling like I was being told by people I don't even know what I can and cannot eat, what is good for me. And it's like, okay, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. Stop it.
Yeah.
And I felt very out of control about food. And now I'm thinking about food all day long. And I'm not a foodie. Like, seriously, apple for dinner, I'm good. Or steak for dinner, whatever I want in that moment, I go get. And I found it very powerful, because for people that couldn't solve that problem that I solved for myself by using the F.I.X code, I can't even imagine the torment that they're in. Of like, I don't know, like, especially people that are in like the middle, like 3Ds, they're not noticing. They don't care. Like, they're doing whatever they want. It's the 40s that are, and again, I'm using this language as just language because I don't know what else to call it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like there's a 3D, 4D, and 5D. And it's like the 3D are completely oblivious, and they're fine with that, and then the 40 is where the battle is, in my mind. Like, that's what we're fighting. That's where we are moving through. And this is where they can still get us. They can still put fear in us. Like, so it's like, and I'm glad to say I'm out of it. Like, I was there a long time in that battle, getting out of it, and like clawing my way out, all that. I'm out of it for sure. I'm back to being fearless. And I can't be convinced, and I can't be told, and I can't be swayed or tricked or like, I'm seeing it. But I feel for those.
Well, I'm a chef in my own restaurant, and when people have food issues, I know that some of them are, I mean, they're real. They're all real for them.
Oh yeah.
But I see that they've been, I mean, some of the things that they've been diagnosed as being having to stay away from is very unique and very just mind-blowing. And I'm like, how did that come to that?
Yeah. So somebody said something when they were little, or they saw somebody go into anaphylactic shock and they were holding a raspberry, and that was it. Now they're allergic to, like, they just, it does, like, there's 10,000 different versions of how that all happens. And that's what I love about the F.I.X code, is that within a couple of minutes, we can solve all of those things. We can solve, like, this technique helps with allergies. Like, totally, they disappear. Like, they're gone. And people call me and go, I didn't have like this thing this summer. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I knew that a year ago. Like, but it takes people time to realize, like, oh, I'm not afraid of that. Or, oh my gosh, I went swimming in the ocean last week. I was terrified of drowning only 2 weeks ago. And, and I picked a holiday to go swimming in the ocean. What do you know? Life changes. And it's,
well, the F.I.X code is elegantly subtle.
Oh my gosh.
Is,
we actually joke around, and it's not a joke, but we don't really advertise it anywhere, or put it out there. It's that the F.I.X code is the free energy model of mind therapy, because we leave no footprint in the unconscious mind. Nobody knows we were there. It's so smooth that, and Kath, you know this. I mean, you and I are gonna giggle, but I can work with a client, and 20 minutes later, they can totally forget that they even had a conversation with me or a session, or they definitely have forgotten the work we've done, what the codes were called, because it's gone.
I mean, I take notes. I like, what is, take notes, because wait a minute, you said that in the beginning. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so your clients forget, and this is why they forget. These things are not supposed to be there. They're not a part of who we are.
Yeah.
So it's like having a splinter in your finger when you were 3 years old, okay? And you got the splinter, and your whole life you've adapted and lived with this pain in your finger. So this is like, I'm tying in the physical ailment of what we started with too.
Yep.
So you've got a splinter in your finger, let's call it SAD, okay? It's in there. And for your whole life, every time you touch it, okay, and it gets worse and your finger gets bigger, and now you're driving your car and you've got your one finger up because you can't put your finger down on the steering wheel. You're cooking and you got one finger up. Now your shoulder's all funny and your neck is all cricked because of this finger. You've adapted your whole life because of the pain of this one splinter in here, okay? Now, you have 9,000 programs, physically, emotionally, mentally. You stay away from things. You don't do things. You don't get pants with zippers. Okay? Like your life is limited because of this finger, this sore finger, okay? We walk by as a F.I.X code practitioner and go, you know, you got a splinter in your finger, right? And you're like, no, like, I don't remember getting a splinter. And we're like, yeah, it's a splinter. Can I ask you, can you think of anything in your past that when you think about it makes you feel sad? And the person goes, yeah, and they're grabbing their finger, okay? Well, that's it. Now, the F.I.X code, through this guided quantum meditation, extracts the splinter. Now, the person doesn't really feel better in the moment because it's still kind of sore a little bit, you know, like they've had a whole life of cricking up and doing all these crazy things. So now over the next couple of days, they're uncrinking. They're not having to like drive with their finger up like this. They can do up zipper pants, like all sorts of, their life is changing. And then you see them at the grocery store and you're like, hey, how's your finger? Can you think of anything in your past that when you think about it makes you feel sad? And they're like, why would my finger hurt? They've just spent 40 years like with this sore finger. And they're like, why would my finger hurt? And you're like, good. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Because, and then 5 minutes later, the person goes, oh my gosh, my finger doesn't hurt at all. And I don't feel it. And they're like poking and they're punching their finger. They're testing it. Nothing. They realize they're picking up the bags of groceries. They're grabbing melons and watermelons and the whole thing, and their finger's not hurting. And they didn't even notice because the splinter isn't who you are. It's not a part of you, okay? It was a thing that was lodged causing problems, lots of them. So now all of a sudden, their whole outfits can change because they can wear pants with zippers. They can pick up different kinds of groceries. They can do all sorts of different things. They're now not spending all this money at the chiropractor anymore because they're not walking around like this. And their physical body starts to straighten up, and their chiropractor is saying to them, my gosh, what are you doing? Like, this is awesome. And the person says, just so you know, this is the most humbling practitioner role you will ever play in your life if you're a F.I.X code practitioner, because the client will say to her practitioner, oh my gosh, I changed toothpaste last week and all my pain went away. As a practitioner, you're like, okay. Had nothing to do with it. I took the splinter is now no longer there, but okay, we'll go with toothpaste. Yeah, sure. You will never get the credit. Kathy's laughing because she knows it's true.
That's a great
analogy, right? So it's like it is truly one of the best jobs in the world, being a F.I.X code practitioner, or being able to apply this technique inside your already existing practices and modalities, because it's just so fun to watch people change right in front of your eyes, and they don't even know why. They totally forget why. Eventually they'll come back and go, okay, I made a total ass of myself at the chiropractor. I actually told her that my body was feeling better because I changed toothpaste. Like, kind of feeling dumb right now. And as practitioners, we were like, it's all good. But you're feeling better? And the person's like, great. Awesome. Oh, and I can wear pants with zippers now. I'm like, of course you can. It doesn't hurt. Okay. It's like that. That's how much fun we have all the time in classes, in training, and in summer programs that we just launched. Like we really do have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that pulls in the element of like the physical stuff and how many problems it has and how the F.I.X code, no footprint, no footprint. There's nobody walks around after a F.I.X code session and went, that kicked the crap out of me, or that was brutal, or oh my gosh, I cried the whole time. They totally forget that they even saw you because they feel great. Like they just feel good. They feel normal. They feel like themselves. They don't feel in pain.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great explanation. I love that one. That's really good.
Yeah, because it's true. Like it's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm just so happy for you, and I mean, I really would. I know your 9 series program is a big seller. I know that, but I'm just so excited to have been able to share this time with you, and you including me in your 9 series, your 9 levels, because I love it. Thank you.
No, it's great. I'm glad we connected again because I haven't talked to you quite a while. So the world has happened. So anyway, and we're all going to keep on going and feel better. Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in obviously Cathy's program, please call her, try this, try her, ask her about her 9-layer program. It's phenomenal. But if you're interested in just the F.I.X code, ask her, because Cathy has we text, we talk. So if you have any questions, and you want to get involved, or you want to do our summer program, which is a summer spiritual retreat, which starts next week. It's 8 weeks. It's going to be super fun. Cathy's got all those links. If you want to just learn a little bit more about us, we have something called Trauma to Triumph, which is a 5-day virtual summit. It's free and it's fun and it's goofy, and you can book a session with somebody, whoever you pick. There's a huge practitioners page that you can pick somebody from. I think it's $25 for a little mini session to try it, but it's just fun. Like, we have things all over the place that you can just try and meet us and have fun. And if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah. Awesome, Stacey. Yeah, as usual, thanks for all the explanations, the really cool animations. It's always fun to talk to you. We're not boring. That was one thing, we're not as boring.
No. And I think everybody kind of walks away with, anytime with me going, that girl can talk, man. She's got stories, fun stories, and gets everybody laughing, and is the total group. And it's true, I am.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Stacey, make sure you give me all your links. We'll just tell you, the website is, the main website is what? The F.I.X code?
Yeah, www.thefixcode.com. And it's all kind of there. Now, the spiritual retreat's not there. That's a personal link, but I'll give Cathy everything. And anybody
we'll put up all the links and everything. We have a brand new website coming up on the LakeClearLodge.com, and it will include all my wellness stuff eventually. So I'm not being splintered anymore by the little Sheffian resort over here and the little, whatever I am over there. So it's all together. We've got a physical place to come, or we can always meet online like we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love. Like we were talking before we got on, that you're moving towards that circular sense. Like everything is all connected now versus splintered. It's you can come to your resort and have any of or all, which I think is
just just a quiet retreat as well. I mean, just a quiet getaway all your own. We had the lake and nature and our trails and
the best chef in the Adirondacks.
We do real foods, So I'm going to, the Weston Price Foundation is saying, we get calls from people who just want to go and, be on their own, but, have someone cook for them and eat real food and just what they need. So a lot of things coming up. So
Well, good luck with everything. I look forward to a really fun summer. Text anytime.
Okay.
And I look forward to any questions that anybody has.
Okay. Thanks, Stacey.
You take care. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.